Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dungeons & Discussions. I'm your host Strimtom, and today we're going to be looking at the Favoured Soul, the Beacon of Hope, a new enhancement tree that's coming brand new to Dungeons & Dragons Online. It's going to be on Lamania soon. It's going to be coming out with update 39, which is right on the way. And before we get started, I just want to say this episode is brought to you by Rockstar Energy, because they give me all of the high energy that I need to get started. The videos for you guys. So, we're going to talk about the Beacon of Hope. What is it? What does it do? What's it for? Beacon of Hope is a healing tree for Favoured Souls. Now, some of you might be out there thinking, Favoured Souls are already healers, Strimtom. They get all the healing spells. Now, that's entirely true. And Favoured Souls can make potent healers. Given that you can get a Favoured Soul up to 12,000 spell points, and that's a lot, that makes a pretty potent healer. You look at clerics, they only land somewhere around 5,500 spell points, especially at level 30. But there's a big difference between a Favoured Soul healer and a cleric healer. Some of the things that make clerics much more potent than Favoured Souls in general is because, number one, they actually get to use their turns for healing, which is really, really powerful. Having something that isn't directly just spell points means that they have more ways to spend abilities to actually heal people. And on top of that, they have cool area of effect abilities that Favoured Souls just don't get. Positive Energy Burst is extremely potent, costs a turn, so it's not mana, removes negative levels and ability damage. It's just really, really good. Plus, you can put all your spell-like abilities on it, your meta magic effects on it, as well as getting the aura, positive energy aura, and then finally just getting an extra unyielding sovereignty to cure everything. Clerics kind of get this neato scenario where they get to cure pretty much everything in the game, whereas Favoured Souls are limited to just their spells. And if you play DDO, you'll know that spells aren't really that great. There's not a lot of variety of them. People usually use the same ones all the time because there's a lot of bad spells out there, or you get to 9th level and there's like 5 spells. So that's why this tree is going to help with that. It's going to alleviate a lot of the problems with Favoured Souls with regards to their healing and kind of make them a bit more competitive with clerics without making them clerics. And I think that's important, and you'll see why I mean that in a second here. So to start off, there's a kind of an interesting tree. There's a lot of good stuff in here. We'll kind of talk about the stuff as we go through it. The most important thing is the cores and some of the main aspects of this character. There's going to be a lot of buttons. Favoured Soul is going to be a lot of button heavy. You got the beacons, which are abilities that affect all of your allies. You have hopes, which are abilities that affect a single ally, and then you have a couple different buffs here. So to start out with just the cores, your cores, for each core ability you gain 1% positive spell critical chance, 10 healing amp, and 5 positive spell power. This means that if you have all 6 cores, you're landing 6% positive spell chance, positive crit chance, 60 healing amp, and 30 positive spell power. Now the 30 spell power aside, 60 healing amp is a lot. You play this as an Aasimar Favoured Soul, you're rocking 120. Just standing around. Then you get your Paladin past lives in, now you're at 150, then you get ship buffs, you're at 170, no items. That's crazy town, and that's really powerful, especially for healing yourself in Reaper mode, which you kind of have to do sometimes if you're playing the healer. On top of that, if you notice this big positive spell crit chance going right up the middle of the tree, that's 2% each one, which means that Favoured Souls actually get the highest amount of positive spell critical chance in the game, which is pretty cool. So it means they'll be able to crit all the time with all that mana that they have. And then finally, they have all their beacons as cores. First is Beacon of Grace. Beacon of Grace is you and allies ahead of you heal for 1 point of positive energy per Favoured Soul level. This scales with your positive spell power. Now, 1 point doesn't sound like a lot, and what does it mean, allies ahead of you? Basically, the best way to describe it is it's like a cone in the same shape as a cone of cold. So, you know, if you're standing here, if this thing is you, you're going to hit probably this guy and then these 3 guys. You know, it's going to be like a cone. They said they're going to work on like visuals to make sure you can see it. And from my understanding, these are the beacons that are in cones, because you have to target them, unlike Positive Energy Burst, it's just a burst out from you. The idea is that these are going to cast very quickly, so you can easily like cast your beacon and then turn back and do something else, because it is coming directly out of your character. So I think that's really good. You know, no travel time, and it'll be powerful. Now you might say 1 point per Favoured Soul level. Strimtom, that doesn't sound very good. Sure, but once you get up to 20 points isn't bad. Imagine that you have 1,000 positive spell power, so you're going to be multiplying this by 10 times. 2,000 becomes 200 healing, that you can just go boom, it hits everyone in front of you, which is not too bad. Then they get their healing amp on top of that, and it's got a 6-second cooldown for 2 spell points. So every 6 seconds you go boom and you're slapping out an extra 200 points of healing. Not too bad. This all pulls in together with the top tier core, which is your beacon and your hope abilities that scale with Favoured Soul level, now at epic levels as well, which means this is actually going to be 30 points. So now with 30 points, you're rocking 300 base healing at level 30. That's fantastic. And even if you're not level 30, even at low levels, you're just going to be constantly belting out these AoE heals. And I don't know if this affects undead. It just says allies, so I don't think it does hurt undead. Still, very cool. Next is Shining Light, which is passive, which is whenever you use one of your beacons or use Flight of Glory, a later ability. Your allies gain Sacred bonus to their healing amplification equal to your favored soul level, and enemies that are affected take a minus on their search and spot, but it basically makes it so that they aren't stealth, invisible, blur, or displaced for 10 seconds. So if you have guys in front of you that have displacement or blur, and some of your guys don't have true seeing, you go boom, Shining Light, you'd use any of your beacons, it heals your guys, and it gets rid of displacement on them. And you're always going to be healing your melee or whoever you're targeting with this, so you're going to be ripping off displacement and blur all the time. Very powerful. I don't know how this works with champions, so that would be a good clarification. Hopefully it'll work on like champions like Pandemoniums, but that's very cool. Very powerful effect. Then you have Beacon of Hope. You get at 12th level. It is 15 spell points. You and allies ahead of you take the effects of the Panacea and Restoration spell, which means it's going to cure negative levels, all ability damage, blindness, paralysis, all that kind of garbage, and heal for 5 points of positive energy per favorite soul level. This is completely maddening. This is one of the craziest abilities I've ever seen. 150 at level 30, if you happen to be a pure favorite soul. 150 base healing. That's a lot. If we take that same 1,000 spell power number and chunk that in here, that's 1,500 points of healing as a base heal, not including healing amplification. Don't forget, if you're level 30 as a pure favorite soul, you're giving everybody 30 when you hit them. So you're already going to amp this up, that 1,500, by an extra 30% onto everybody, and you're curing them of everything. Are they paralyzed? Doesn't matter. Poisoned, confused, insanity? Doesn't matter. It's gone. So that's kind of cool. Very, very powerful thing. And of course, there's a 30-second cooldown, but it's a sick cooldown. It's the kind of like the instantaneous, like, boom, you're healed. Like, don't worry about it, and it hits like the whole raid. So that's awesome, especially if you have people clumping, melee fighting right in front of Baba Lysaga or something, you know. Say you're playing against Strahd, and there's a lot of AoE, you know, they cast the Horde, wilting, it comes down, hits everybody, you go, boop, and it's back up. Hopefully this will have a very fast cast time, like I said, but that's kind of what I was led to believe. Then you got Flight of Glory. Whenever you use Leap of Faith, nearby allies gain twice your character level and temporary hit points, plus an additional 25. It's just nice. I don't know if this is good, but you Leap of Faith all the time, so that's important. And then finally, Core 6 is True Resurrection. So you get a True Resurrection spell-like ability. And you might think to yourself, why would you ever need a spell-like ability for True Resurrection? Well, it means you get 2 True Resurrections now. You get the spell and the spell-like ability. So instead of True Resurrecting a guy, then Resurrecting a guy, then Raise Deading a guy, you can just True Resurrect 2 guys. And then resurrect a guy, which is awesome. People coming back to full health is fantastic. And then you also get to choose. You can either get +4 Wisdom or +4 Charisma. There's a multi-selector. And then you get +3 maximum cast level with all positive spells. So that's kind of cool. Now, if you actually look at the tiers, there's some interesting things in here. Number 1 is Good Hope spell-like ability. That seems kind of out of place and weird. I had a discussion on the DDO cast, and Pat was under the belief that having a Good Hope spell-like ability being here, considering Good Hope is a 3rd level Bard spell, which Bards get access to at level 7, that's kind of really strong, and it might be a little bit too low for this type of effect. Now, I think it's cool, because the favorite soul is literally the Beacon of Hope, that it gets Good Hope, and you can mimic Good Hope with a Heroism potion, and anyone can buy Heroism potions. They just cost some silver, and you can use them at level 1. So I feel like this is a spell-like ability. It's just kind of cool and thematic. I don't think it's going to be overpowered. I'm not even sure if you would actually take this, I'm going to be honest, but it's really cool for low levels because you just pump out a sick buff for you and your allies. Then you get Confidence, which is just skills and positive spell power, Divine Durability for physical resistance rating, Crit Chance, and Mana. I don't even know why there's mana in this tree, but you better believe I'm taking this mana. That's 90 extra mana for 3 points. That's awesome. Tier 2, very, very interesting. You got Close Wounds spell-like ability. Nobody uses Close Wounds. It's a really, really weak spell. In fact, I'm going to pull it up here. But Close Wounds is a spell that almost nobody uses. I gotta type in DDO because apparently there's a lot of spells in the game or in different games called Close Wounds. So I'm gonna pull up Close Wounds right here. So if you haven't seen this, it is positive channel or quickly channel positive energy, heal light wounds near target for 1d3 +1 hit points +1 per cast level, maximum of 5. So this is gonna heal. It's gonna be basically 6 to 9 health. 6 to 9, 1 plus 5, yeah, 6 to 9 hit points, which is not a lot. It's really, really low. However, it has a 1-second cooldown and a 2-point cost, which means you can literally go Close Wounds, Close Wounds, Close Wounds, Close Wounds, Close Wounds, Close Wounds. That's maximized, empowered, empowered healing spelled, and emboldened on top of your 1,000 spell power. So bumping this up to 1,600 spell power, it's gonna feel pretty good that you can just go Close Wounds, 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 closing everybody's wounds, which is awesome. On top of that, if you happen to want to splash, say you're playing a Sharati build, A lot of Shradi builds end up taking 4 levels of Favorite Soul to get access to all the crazy crit for force damage. Well, you cast Soul Close Wounds anyway to keep Empyrean magic stacks up. This is a Close Wounds spell-like ability. Instead of costing the regular, I think it's 8 mana that it costs, this costs only 2. So you can spec into this tree a little bit and then just go boop, 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 boop with a 1 second cooldown, keep yourself just fully stacked on your Empyrean magic for basically no cost. It's fantastic. So that one's really exciting. Hope for Inspiration. You get to target a guy and you give him bonus to skills. I don't know if this is ever going to be useful, but there might be a fringe time where your barbarian needs to use a greater heroism scroll. So you hope for inspiration him, you good hope him, and you bump him up by like +9, and he still doesn't have the UMD because he put a 6 on his charisma. Come on, Warforged barbarians, get your head in the game. I think got divine durability too. It's 6 MRR. Can't go wrong with that. Spell crit, chance positive 2%, and then Might's Reward. So I'm not sold on Might's Reward, but it's positive energy spell power. It's a sacred bonus to positive energy spell power, and it's basically the same. They say it's same SP cost as Divine Might. You get to add your modifier for whatever you want, Strength, Wisdom, or Charisma as positive spell power. You're probably going to be Wisdom based. That's most likely. You could also use Charisma. Charisma is going to be good, especially if you're playing a Dragonborn. You get a lot of mana that way, but most players are probably going to be Wisdom based. By the way, looking at this, you'll probably land your Wisdom or Charisma around 80 to 90, so you're looking to add an extra 35 spell power with this, which is not bad, considering it's a 3-pointer for 35 spell power. It's not terrible. Tier 3, you got Hope for Protection. Target ally gains sacred bonus to PRR and MRR equal to your favorite soul level for 12 seconds. This is tough because you got to cast it on people, and this is why this class is going to have a lot of buttons, so be ready for that. But it does give people a little bit more tankiness, so that's kind of cool. Efficient and Power Healing. I don't know if you would take that, but you might. I don't use a lot of things to spend points in this tree. Spell critical chance 2% and Wisdom or Charisma. Then you get a Death Ward spell-like ability. Now, Death Ward spell-like ability is very interesting. Some of you might not think you need it, but since it's a tier 4, it means you can actually get the Death Ward spell-like ability starting at level 6. And having Death Ward spell-like ability is very powerful because it means you don't have to take Death Ward right away as a 4th level spell. It allows you to take Panacea, Recitation, Restoration, or Cures critical wounds at your level 8, or is it your level, or when you hit level 8 for your 4th spell slot while leveling, which is kind of cool. And also, it's 5 spell points. And now Mask a Death Ward is 40 spell points, which means if you're trying to cast this spell, if you're in a 6-man, you can save mana by casting Death Ward spell-like ability, and if you are in a raid, you're still casting Mass Death Ward. You're going to take it anyway. The other spells suck, but... Then you got Hope for Victory. Targeted ally gains sacred bonus to melee power, range power equal to half your favorite soul level, and universal spell power equal to your favorite soul level. Lasts for 12 seconds. This is just good. Because it lasts for 12 seconds with the 6-second cooldown, you can have this constantly rolling on 2 players at a time. So you can jam this on your Muncher, you can jam this on your Vanguard fighter, and then when it rolls off and say you've got the Barbarian and he goes, hey, I've got my Fury up. You say, okay, cool. He goes on Bridal Fury, you throw this on him, and now he's hitting for an extra 15 melee power. So that's not too bad. It's basically like an action boost running on him. So that's kind of cool. And you can keep that going on 2 people all the time. Optimism. Every time you cast one of your Hope abilities, you get a stack of Rising Beacon, giving yourself +2 MRR, PRR, and AC. It stacks up to 10 times, and the stacks fade away every once in a while. So this is cool. This makes you insanely tanky. One of the reasons why I like this a lot is 2 PRR per stack up to 10 times. That's 20 PRR and MRR. If you're playing this class properly, you're using your hopes constantly. You know how I said you can have 2 Hope for Victories rolling? Well, you can also have 2 Hope for Protections rolling. So having both of those rolling all the time, you should always be at 10 stacks realistically, unless you're playing by yourself. So that's 20 PRR and MRR, plus a PRR and MRR down here at the bottom. Man, you are tanky as all hell, which is pretty good. The fact that this gives 26 magical resistance rating on its own is very, very powerful and makes you a lot more survivable as a healer. Remember, favorite souls don't actually get access to heavy armor. They're medium armor classes. You'd have to multi-class or take the heavy armor feat. So this is really going to help shore up your physical defenses and give you more magical resistance rating. Then you have Spell Critical Chance 2% and Wisdom or Charisma. And then Tier 5, interesting stuff. You got Raised Dead, spell-like ability. Now the question is, do you need this? Why not? It's an extra Raised Dead. So yeah, absolutely. You can cast Raised Dead and the spell-like ability. So that's 2 Raised Deads. Very, very helpful. Hope for Success. Targeted ally gains +1 critical threat range and multiplier with weapons for 12 seconds. Oh, that's cool. This is a sick buff. Now, obviously it's a very short duration, but you want to use this in conjunction with allies, again, that are using abilities that are very powerful. Say your Barbarian or your Archer has Unbridled Fury up. You say, okay, I'm going to use Fury Shot, so the second they click it, you go Hope for Success and Optimism. You up their critical threat multiplier by 1, you give them some more melee and range power, and then they just start killing bosses, And then the next guy comes up. It's like, okay, cool. I've got, the effect lasts for 12 seconds and is refreshed if the target is affected by another... Wait. Oh no, this one. Yeah, 60-second cooldown. So you do that, and then the guy's not gonna have his Unbridled Fury for like another like 10 minutes or something. So then the next guy, it's like, okay, wait, it's a minute. Throw on the Hope for Success, get your next Fury shot going. So I think it's kind of cool, but you can cycle through it. Heal spell-like ability. It's literally identical to the heal spell. A lot of you might think, that's not very good. But the cool thing about this is it's a spell-like ability, so you can quicken it, and it doesn't cost more, and it's a second heal. If you can cast 2 heals, I guarantee you, ask any cleric and say, you don't get 1 heal button, you get 2 heals on 2 separate cooldowns, all of them would take it. All of them would say, hell yes, please give me that. Heal's the best heal in the entire game. If you have 2 of them, that's even better. So this is going to be very, very powerful. Expect to see a lot of use out of that. Then you have Undying Beacon. Allies affected by your beacons gain unconsciousness rage equal to 10 times your favorite soul levels. This is fantastic. This means that it gives you a lot more leeway. Clerics have to get you before you die. Favorite souls? But you get to add an extra 300 to the unconsciousness range. For the guys like myself, how I play on my my paladin, I've got the unconsciousness range extra up to 300. With this, that would give you unconsciousness range 600. That means if you take a big ass hit and you're at minus 500, don't worry about it. I'll just heal you back up. Boop! Gives me a second to get the damage back there. So that's pretty rad, and it gives you a lot more flexibility, which is one of the things I think is very interesting about the favorite soul. It just gives a lot more flexibility. And then finally, you get Wall of Healing. It's exactly like Wall of Fire, except instead of damaging undead a lot and doing fire damage, it heals allies and damages undead that stand in it every couple of seconds. Really cool. I hope it has a cool effect. So where does this fit? How does this work? Why would you use this? Number one, if you're playing as a healing favorite soul, you're going to want to take pure this tree. It's too good not to take, especially the capstone. The healing abilities are very powerful. This is the kind of character that has got a very high skill floor. If you're playing cleric, or you see somebody that plays like a shitty cleric, if a shitty cleric tries to play this, they're going to be significantly worse, because the things that make cleric a lot easier to play, like the big bursty AoE heals for free from your turn undead and stuff, this class doesn't have that. It has specifically targeted attacks, so you have to target your heals in a direction, or you have to be constantly rotating buffs through people. But you're going to see, if somebody knows what they're doing, having buffs on everybody, rolling through or Hope for Victory on 2 guys, calling out, who's got the next Fury shot, who's got the next big effect. Maybe you've got a Divine Crusader. I don't know why you have one in your party, but you got a Divine Crusader. He's about to use the top tier Divine Crusader thing that gives him 50 melee power and double strike and all that. And you're like, cool, here's Hope for Success. You're rolling through it. This is the type of tree where somebody who's really min-maxing their time while playing is going to get a lot of effectiveness out of. So, like I said, personally, I think this is going to be, I don't want to say better than Cleric. I want to say it has the potential to be better with all the work put in. Think of it like, it's essentially, it's harder to play, but you get more out of it if you can play it better. So I think that's going to be very interesting. I really like the fact that it's not the same. This is not Cleric, okay? This is different. This is focused healing in a direction. This is tons of buffs that you have to rotate through. Throw a buff on this guy, throw a buff on this guy. You can be incredibly well rewarded by using Hope for Protection on the right target, bumping up the PRR and MRR of your tank, especially if you're using a druid tank or a fighter tank. This stuff stacks really well. This bonus doesn't actually stack with the paladin defenses. It's a little higher if you're a pure favorite soul, but it doesn't stack with it. So this tree has a lot of good things going for it. Now, the next question you have to ask yourself is, all right, so we know that Strimtom is like all about playing this pure. So Strimtom, are you going to play one? Hell yeah, I'm going to play one. I'm going to play a pure one. I'm going to get it all the way up to 30, and I'm going to test it. I want to bring it in and be the best healer I can be. But what if you don't want to be a healer? What's good out of here that you just want to take? Because, sometimes you just don't want to take all the healing. Well, a couple things are actually pretty good. If you're playing pure favorite soul, you're definitely going to spend a few points in here. Shining Light's really, really powerful, considering Beacon of Grace is something you can always have on your bar. It's going to help you keep up your stacks of Empyrean magic when you're just chilling, if you're playing a pure DPS favorite soul. And it gives a little bit of healing. It should have a fast enough cast time that it is going to be almost non-existent in your rotation, so you won't even notice it when you're scrolling through your Sunbolt spell-like ability from Angelic Angel, the thing, the burst of divine wrath. If you happen to be a Sun Elf favorite soul, we're rolling through that spell-like ability, all your spell-like abilities and stuff. This shouldn't take up too much space, so you should be able to throw that one in there and give yourself a little bit of buff. Most importantly, Good Hope spell-like ability is fantastic. You're probably not going to use Close Wounds. You might take the positive critical chance, but honestly, a lot of stuff you'd want to get is not really in here. I would imagine a lot of caster Favored Souls would go deep, but Beacon of Grace at the very least is kind of nice because it gives you 30 healing amp all the time, and you can never say no to good healing amp, especially considering you get 30 healing amp from going up here. So you cast the spell, actually it would be only 20, you don't take the capstone, so you get 20 by casting a Beacon. So this would give you 50 healing amp pretty much all the time. For 11 points, 50 healing amps, not too bad, especially considering you're also going to be picking up other good stuff, whether it's more durability, whether it's good hope as a spell-like ability, whether it's more mana, and spellcasters are always going to want to pick up more mana, especially considering we have percentage-based mana bonuses from Green Steel. The more base mana you have, the better those percentage bonuses are. So you want to pick up some more mana for that as well. So I can see a lot of casters splashing into this tree. Now you play Melee Favored Soul. The first question is, why are you doing that? Just kidding. I love Melee Favored Soul. Melee Favored Soul is really good. What would you take out of Melee Favored Soul here? Well, one of the problems with taking Melee Favored Soul in this tree is that you can't cast the buffs on yourself. The hope spells cannot be cast on yourself, which is what you'd want to do. If I could hope for victory myself, that'd be awesome. I'd play Melee Favored Soul and just jam 10 melee power all the time. I'd have it on me at all times of day and night. Again, you're probably not going to take much. You might go for the 4th Gorge to pick up Beacon of Hope because it is very powerful and situational and useful. But again, you're probably not going to spend more than 21 points in here. Now, realistically, Melee Favored Souls don't have a lot of points to spend in their own personal tree because the War Priest tree War Soul tree is complete garbage. But this is not too bad as an alternative. You'll probably spend a lot of points in Azamir tree. You'll probably spend a lot of points in Human tree if you're playing as Melee Favored Soul. And you might spend probably upwards of 22 points in this tree to get yourself a lot more healing amp, as well as some cool heals. Because remember, the beacons do actually heal yourself, so having a burst heal spell is not too bad combined with regular heal. You still take top tier in War Soul, but you won't feel happy about it, because, I'm gonna be honest, it's War Soul. There's only so much you can do. And now let's say you're multi-classing a little bit of Favored Soul. You've got a classic 2 levels of Favored Soul or 6 levels of Favored Soul. Usually those are the splashes you're looking at. With 2 levels of Favored Soul, you probably won't spend any points in this tree. You might take spell points, but the first 2 tiers are not really exciting. And like I said, if you're playing as a Shirati build, you're going to want to take Closed Wounds out of here because it's too good to pass up. You know, looking at this, it's a cost of, I think it's 8 points to get Empyrean Magic up 100% of the time for no cost. So that's something you're going to be looking at, so you should probably be pretty excited for that. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the new Favored Soul tree. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'm going to read them, I swear. I'm going to try. But yeah, so that's all we got for Dungeons and Destructions. I will be doing more of these as we go along, so if you like what you saw, please do let me know. And if you think there's anything else you'd love to see Strimtom talk about, again, let me know so I can make sure I do that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and play some Favored Soul, and drink Rockstar Energy Drink. This is an inferior energy drink to Monster and Red Bull. This is just worse than both of those, but it was on sale at the store, so I bought it. God, I'm so good at ending videos. Alright, video's over. Sick.